It is Thursday, November 8th, 2012. We're live in the Wall Street Journal newsroom in New York. Today on WSJ Lunch Break, as President Obama maps out his second term, will compromise be high on his agenda? We're going to pose that question right now to Jerry Seib. He writes our Capitol Journal column and is host of our WSJ Live DC Bureau show. Hey there, Jerry. You finally got some sleep last night, I hear.
I did, yes, I did.
Good.
Had dinner and went to bed. Felt good.
Excellent. We're going to pose all these tough questions to you now that your brain is all nice and clear.
All right,
compromise. We keep hearing that there was a mandate from all of us voters out there that what we want from the president and Congress is for them to compromise. Do you think that's true?
I think it is true, and I think probably at this point in the transition, both sides will say that. The question is, do they mean it, and what do they mean by it? You know, I think President Obama realizes that he's going to have to figure out very early on how to solve big problems, obviously the fiscal cliff, but beyond that, kind of some general decisions about tax rates, long-term tax reform, corporate taxes, and the overall shape of the budget. And you're going to have compromises to get that done. But, you know, that means compromising with Republicans and getting them to come toward him a little bit, obviously, which is what everybody focuses on. But it's also going to mean getting his own Democrats to agree to move to the Republicans as well. Some are willing to, some aren't. They're going to say, look, we held the White House and we picked up 2 seats in the Senate. We have a bigger mandate for doing what we want to do than they do. That's not going to get anybody very far, but that's what he has to worry about. Let's
go back to the Democrats in just a minute, because I think that's an interesting point. But firstly, the fiscal cliff. I mean, this is looming, and for people who maybe haven't been following this, this is a set of spending cuts and tax hikes that will take effect next year unless Congress works out some sort of a compromise. Jerry, what in terms of a compromise is truly possible with both sides when they couldn't do it a year ago?
Well, and just to add to your list, not far after the first of the year, the federal government hits its borrowing ceiling again. And if you don't raise that debt ceiling, the country defaults. So this is a triple whammy. I think that there's plenty of opportunity to come up with something more reasonable than just going off the cliff, and that's going to be the test of the next 2 months. You know, for example, you could agree to a short-term package of some spending cuts and some tax increases or revenue increases, with an agreement that you will let congressional committees work out the details and give them targets, financial targets to hit in terms of deficit reduction, and a timetable to reach, and then say if that doesn't get worked out by then, we'll have a fallback plan. I mean, that's the sort of thing that's going to be under discussion in the next few weeks in Washington.
And Jerry, you mentioned the Democrats and how difficult it might be for President Obama to get the Democrats to fall in line. This seems counterintuitive. I mean, you think the hard thing would be getting the Republicans to side with him, but yet, you know, there's some Democrats who feel that, one, the White House wasn't that open to their solutions in Obama's first term, and two, that maybe they didn't think President Obama actually even campaigned for them that hard in the election. Do you think that's going to play into the difficulty of corralling his own party to help him push through a compromise?
Well, look, I think there was a problem with the campaign in general. I don't think it got to very specific level discussion about what kind of compromises everybody could live with. There was there was kind of some general ideas on the Democratic side, some general posturing, all of which kind of rotated around. The rich should pay a little more in taxes, and we can't really have the kind of cuts that Paul Ryan has in his budget. And on the Republican side, it was more, we should leave tax rates alone and we can cut more spending than you think. By the way, we'll also increase defense spending at the same time. None of those things actually add up to a position that everybody can agree to. So there's your starting problem. On the other hand, look, I talked to somebody in the White House a few weeks ago, and I said, are you having conversations with Republicans behind the scenes during the campaign so you're ready to go after the election? And he said, no, but what difference does it make? We thrashed all these issues out all through 2011. They didn't reach an agreement on a grand compromise to solve the deficit, but it's not like anybody is at a loss about what the other guy thinks. There's no mystery about what the positions are. Pull out those papers from last year and just get started. You know what the other guy thinks.
Yeah, very good point. All right, compromise on everybody's tongues. We'll see if it becomes a reality. Jerry Seib, thanks so much for being with us.